Hi, everyone, and welcome to my Thursday night Real Estate Investors Hangout. I'm so glad you made it here tonight. I'm hanging out from San Diego, and can you put in the chat where you're hanging out from so we know what city you live in? Tonight, I have with me a very special guest, and I will introduce him a little more after I play the intro video. So hold on, we'll be right back. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming this evening. Tonight on my Real Estate Investor Hangout, I have a very special guest, Gabriel Garcia, and this is his first interview as a real estate investor. So I'm really honored that he is on my show tonight in his first interview, and we are going to learn some great things from him because he has skyrocketed his business in the last 3 years. So I'm going to do a brief intro and then let him meet you. So Gabriel was actually a music major, and he was a performer in hip hop. He was doing well in school. And I think from what he told me, once he got out, he realized, I'm not going to make as much money as I really want to in this business. So, although it's his passion, he had to find something that he also loved, but that would make some more money for him and his future family. So tonight he's going to talk to us about the systems that he implemented to skyrocket his business. And he actually is going to tell you about how his profits tripled from 1 year to the next because of the systems that he put in place. And, sometimes real estate investors will give me an excuse. I have a job, I have a family, I have to do this and that. Well, he has a brand new baby. So I don't want to hear any more excuses from you guys because the guy's not getting any sleep. His baby's only 2 months old. So, and he's still buying houses and rehabbing them. So tonight I want to welcome Gabriel Garcia. He's coming in from Miramar, Florida. And so Gabriel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you. Thank you for the nice intro.
So I want to ask you, Gabriel, what gives you the right to tell us about wholesaling and rehabbing, and why should we listen to you?
Well, what gives me the right to talk about it? So right now, I can just say what I've done right now. This year, we've done we've done $500,000 in profits already this year, from January till now. We got about 13 people on our team that are working, and believe it or not, something pretty cool has happened recently in our business. And I was talking to you about this yesterday, but with the new baby and stuff, I'm working less and we're making more.
Yay, that's great.
So the systems are starting to work and our people are starting to come along together. It's not perfect. There's always room for improvement, but it's working,
Well, tell us a little bit about the type of house you focus on in your market, and then maybe go into some details about that first deal you did and how you were scrambling, and you didn't have systems, of course, because you just wanted to get the deal done. Tell us about that and your market so people know what kind of market you work in.
Yeah, so we focus on South Florida, so we do Dade County, which is most people know as Miami. We do Broward County, which is like Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood area, and we do West Palm Beach. So it's 3 different counties. Each county, has hundreds of thousands of people. They're pretty big counties, all of them. And we focus, as far as on the wholesale side, we'll wholesale anything as long as the numbers work. But our average, price on the median house is probably somewhere between, I would say, cost maybe ARV of anywhere from 100 to 300,000. And we still get some stuff on the higher price range, but they're not too many. They come once in a blue moon. And what was it you asked me? Oh, about the first deal.
Yeah, the first deal.
First deal was crazy. First deal had over $100,000 in liens and code violations.
Wow, that's a lot.
To this day, I don't think I've ever bought a crazier house. Like the house, I wish I could show you a picture of it. I've never, the house had a door to open, but how can I say it? It was like an exterior concrete wall with a door that had nothing behind it. And you open the door
Mm.
and you walk over a moat.
A moat.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you see this huge pool here, but with no water. And you see
Yeah.
all this glass, and then all around the glass is like these old rocks. I don't know if you've ever seen these houses that like kind
Okay.
of looks like terrazzo, but on the walls,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
pretty ugly. And the house had like, I don't know how many additions. The levels on the roof were all everywhere. I remember I brought one of my friends to the house. It was a rehabber, and I asked him his opinion. He's like, dude, he's like, run from this thing. He's like, don't get involved, you know? But I wanted my first deal so bad. Make a long story short, we closed on it. I actually had to close on it and cure the liens.
Oh yeah.
My mentor ended up, you know, helping me fund the deal. Well, he funded all of it actually. After one day, his partner saying they weren't going to close, it was just so stressful. I got sick to my stomach from the stress. I think we must have got like over 100 buyers for the deal, and everyone backed out at the end.
Wow. Okay.
Make a long story short, I put a for sale by owner sign on the house, and someone from the neighborhood called, and they loved the house. They wanted to build a music studio, and this was the perfect house.
Wow.
And they bought the house. They paid, I think we made 15 grand on the house. And believe it or not, I passed by the house actually about a month ago. I was driving to go look at one of our properties, and I said, let me pass by that house and see whatever happened to it. And it was in the same exact shape of when we first wholesaled it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think the buyer ever did anything with it. You know.
He's just using it the way it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know if they ran out of money or whatnot, but yeah, it was. In hindsight, I would probably never done that deal today, but I was so desperate to get my first deal that I jumped through any hoops possible to make sure it closed.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like it was a custom deal, or a custom house, because there weren't any others in the neighborhood like it.
Right.
You know, and then they probably we call them glom-ons. They just glommed other things onto it and made the house pretty ugly, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was like 1,000 or 1,500 square feet bigger than every house in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There's probably another reason why you got the deal is no one else wanted to do it.
No one wanted it, yeah.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason.
We had to ask for like 2 price reductions from the realtor, and she was so hard to deal with as well because it was a bank-owned property. So
oh, right.
We made the offer originally for like 35, and she accepted it. And I remember when I got the offer accepted, and my mentor, I called my mentor. I'm like, hey, I finally got my first offer accepted. He's like, oh no. And I'm like, why? He's like, you offered too much if they just accepted it like that.
Oh, right.
So I went to go see the house, and that's when we saw it. We went back, asked for a price reduction of like, you know, I think it was 10,000. And then we asked for a price reduction one more time right before closing, and it was just really stressful.
Yeah. Oh, the banks don't like that at all.
Yeah, and the realtor was flipping out. She was cursing at me, and she was upset.
Yeah, she's not going to get much out of it, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of a flat fee or something.
Yeah.
So, well, that's good. So, what's your standard price now for you're kind of saying what the ARV was? What's your standard price in that market that you buy at?
Well, I mean, look, like, all right, we got 6 equity deals this month already, and they're all over the place. So we got, you know, we got one that we're wholesaling for $220. We got 3 of them that we're wholesaling like a $109. We got another one that we're wholesaling like a $170. We got one that we're wholesaling at $50. So I mean, they're kind of really spread out, but that's the range more or less, you know.
Right. Okay. Tell us a little bit about how you found a mentor, and then what you suggest to, you know, new investors who just can't seem to get off the ground. Tell us about your experience having a mentor.
So for me, that was probably one of the best decisions I probably could have made. I found my mentor at a RIA, and I heard him talk, and when I heard him talk, I said to myself, I'm like, man, this guy, like, he knows a lot, you know, and I need someone like that who can really get me over the edge, because I knew I can do this stuff. Like I just felt it was in my blood that I can make this business work. But I needed someone to just say, do this and that, and this will happen, versus me just doing all this stuff and really none of it was really working, or you don't know if it's going to work. And it's really hard to really focus and pull through on that one thing if you've never done it and you don't have anyone to tell you, yeah, if you keep doing this, you're going to get to the top of the mountain. So, yeah, I found a mentor. I think he charged me $5,500 to sign up with him, and we had to split our deals together. So that's what I liked about it too. He's a local guy, and he knew the market, and he had an interest in me succeeding. It wasn't like one of these big groups where you pay 40 grand and, you know, well, just call us and we'll support you. You know, he wants, if he makes money, if I make money. Exactly. So he was always there. I mean, I called him like 10, 20 times a day. You know, I made sure I got the money's worth, and I was lucky that my girlfriend, my fiance now at the time, her parents passed away, and so the money that they got from the parents' estate, she loaned me the money. So
okay. That was your starting money.
She's an investor as well, so she made me actually, you know, split my profits with her as well. So when I first started, I was making like 20% of everything I was making. It was hard.
Yeah, yeah.
But
well, at least you had someone who believed in you.
Yeah.
That's definitely worth it. That's definitely worth it.
For sure.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that about the mentor, and having a mentor or a coach is really important. And when you do see these big programs and you buy into them, you just don't get the kind of personalized attention. So it is good to find a local person in your market, and you can meet them at local RIA clubs. And you know that there's some hand holding you really need there that doesn't come in the bigger program. So I've done both. I've worked for the gurus and done the coaching for them, and also mentored people in my local market where I'd say, okay, I'm going to take 5 people as interns. Let's get started and go do a project. And so it's way more hands-on when you do that.
For sure.
So really like that. All right, so let's jump into our systems, which was our topic for tonight, now that everybody knows more about you. So tell us the 3 areas that you systematized first, or even if you made a mistake, that you would systematize first if you're starting right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I would systemize first if I was building this business from scratch is the marketing. You have to have your marketing systematized because it needs to work constantly, whether you're in the office or whether you're not in the office, and that's the only way that your business is going to grow. You have to have incoming leads. I mean, now, like I said, the only reason why we're able to, besides all the other systems we have in place, but the only reason why we're getting 6 equity deals I've mentioned that we got this month, one of them we're making, $55,000 assignment on, is because we have a marketing system in place that's always running, and there's leads. Our phones are ringing every single day, 5, 10, 15 times a day from incoming calls, and once you have that, you're in a position to scale. But until you get there, every newbie has the same problem. They don't have enough leads, so maybe they get 5 leads in a month and they get frustrated because they're not closing deals. You're just not getting enough leads. You need, you need to be getting 100 leads or 200 leads a month. For us, I think I did a video, the video that you saw me on, I think I mentioned that we're closing 1 deal out of every 50 leads that come into our system. So you have to have the lead flow come in, and the marketing system, it's the first thing. And so we get marketing assistants to handle everything. All we do is give them the plan. Hey, every month, this is our marketing plan. This is what needs to get done. You guys go run with it and make sure it happens.
So what's your favorite system? Are you doing mostly letters? What's your?
Yeah, we're doing 90% of all our marketing is direct mail right now. So I think right now we're just scaling right now. We're still scaling on the marketing, and I think when we first started this year, we were spending about $5,000 a month. Now we're spending about 10, and this month we're about to drop 20. And we're going to keep scaling as much as we can until we see that we just start getting diminishing returns. But for right now, it's working great. So we're going to keep putting more and more into it until we get to a place where, we see that now it's costing us more per lead, where it doesn't make sense anymore, where it's just better to maintain at a certain level.
Yeah, just to be clear for everyone, you can't spend $20,000 if you're only going to do one deal. So you've got to start somewhere. $1,500 is a good place to start. $1,500 a month, and you should get a couple of deals. Then you reinvest the money into the deal. So
absolutely. Yeah. When I remember, like when my partner was the one that put me on direct mail, because I used to do a lot of door knocking and I used to send a lot of offers on the MLS. The problem with sending offers on the MLS is that it's dependent upon you. So if you don't work, your offers don't go out, or if you're not working, following up, you're not making money.
Right.
So the what was I going to say? With the part with the offers, and I blanked out. We were talking about the
direct mail, and how many offers you do and how much you spend to get the deals.
Or the spending, yeah. So my partner put me on direct mail. I'm like, man, I don't think with $1,000 we're gonna get anything. Like I had this misconception that we had to spend more. And it wasn't true, And with $1,000, I think one month we did 2 deals and we made like 40 grand. And so
right.
You reinvest that and you're able to build a lot of momentum. And as long as you keep doing it, before you know it, you have this huge momentum and snowball effect that just works for you.
Yeah, it's just waiting to get started. So if someone is interested in starting direct mail, if you look at my YouTube channel, Wise Wealth University, I've done a couple hangouts on doing your direct mail. So eventually those will go into a course, but right now it's free on YouTube. So if you want to get the direct mail, I went into every detail about the letter, where the list comes from, how you sort the list, what you put in the letter, what the envelope looks like. It's all there and it's free. So just go to the YouTube channel and watch the previous hangouts.
That's awesome.
It's all there for people. All right. So you started talking about the 3 people that you would put into place. I think we're on number 1 still, right? As your team. Oh no, the areas you would systematize. So first one's marketing.
So the next one I would say you got to systematize is the lead part, which is kind of your sales part. And so this took us a while to finally get, and when we did it, it just made our lives so much easier. But you need to have like a leads processor, or some people call them a leads manager. The way we have it set up is, so we use a CRM called Podio. And we used to use an answering service at first, and the answering service would pick up the calls, collect the information, and mail us. But we noticed that with the answering service, sometimes they would get asked specific questions and they wouldn't know how to answer them. And we noticed that it was somebody new answering the phone every time, and sometimes they don't sound too confident because they don't really know what they're talking about. And the reality is they don't.
There's a disconnect, yeah.
There's a disconnect. So we noticed it, and we didn't like that. So now what we do is, when someone calls our line, it goes to automatic voicemail. Whether they leave a voicemail or not, we use a service called CallRail. So CallRail, I think it's like $1 or a couple dollars per line. It's super cheap and super easy to use. And CallRail sends us an email into Podio. So the lead automatically comes into Podio, whether it's a missed call or whether it's a voicemail, and it tells us exactly from which marketing piece they're calling. So we have a number for each specific marketing campaign. So if we're sending marketing out for probates or absentees or list pendants or tax delinquents, whatever it is, we know exactly where it's coming from. So we're able to track it and know which marketing is paying the dollars. Then when that comes in, our leads processor gets a task automatically. So it's all generated automatically. There's no work in this aspect of it. And she'll get a task to automatically call that person, and there's an automatic lead sheet that's on Podio that she has to fill out and then send to our acquisition manager. The acquisition manager is later down the road. You don't need that right now to get started, and I wouldn't recommend that. You guys need to become experts at closing your own deals first. But the leads processor, they don't need to be an expert. They just need to screen your calls for you and be a filter, because you don't want to be spending your time speaking to people who aren't going to sell you their house. The reality is most of your leads aren't going to be good leads. And you want to talk to the ones that are good leads, and the ones that aren't too good leads, you know, you can keep follow up with them, but they're not people that you need to talk to urgently, because, you know, either they're just asking too much for their house, or they're not really in a desperate situation to sell. Whatever the issue is, you know,
Right.
the reality
They're
is
not motivated.
yeah, we're just in a business where it's a numbers game, and we're not going to get a true motivated seller every lead that comes in, and so you want to filter. And that's the second system that I would say you need to get in place.
Okay, so definitely, you know, have your calls come in and a way to screen them. I do have you know, you're going to get to the whole system at the end, but there's a less expensive system if people want to use. They should get, and I have a link on my website. I'll tell you where it is later, but a phone system where you have an automated message. So you leave a long message, and then it can email all the 3 people on your team. It can call all their cell phones. So if you're still taking your own calls, and it's like $16 a month to have that number, and then I have a long pre-recording that explains to them they're not going to get top dollar, on and on like that, so that they know before they leave a message that, you know, they have to be motivated, and there has to be some issues with the house that we can help them with.
Yeah, we call that negative phasing, where you're pretty much you're just kind of pushing them away, and if they're really motivated, they're still going to come back. Yeah.
So it limits the number of, you know, people who they hear it and then they go, oh, well, I'm just a FSBO kind of person. I want to get top dollar, and we don't want to deal with that. So that's kind of another way to get it. Just get the automated phone system, and everybody gets a text, an email, a phone call when that person comes in, and it captures their number. Even if they don't leave the number, it captures their phone number.
And that's like a huge point. You know, there's like so many people who do direct mail. They're so focused on response rate, and I always tell people that that's like the least important metric you need to focus on, because you know, if you're using a specific mail piece and you're telling specific people like that, like, hey, I'm not going to pay you top dollar, you know, this is whatever this is, you're filtering people out, so your response rate is going to go down, but the quality of leads you have are going to be higher, and your conversion might be higher. So, you know, people are so focused sometimes on response rate, and a higher response rate can actually cost you more money, because now you have to have more labor, more people following up, making calls, screening all these leads, and that's not what you want to be doing. You want to be getting good leads coming in, and not wasting so much time with all these bad leads.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy called us the other day from one of our letters, and I looked up his house, and he's upside down. He probably owes twice what the house is worth. So it's like, you know, it's worth 80, owes like 160. So it will definitely turn into a short sale if we can get to that point. But I figure he's motivated because he's had it since 2007, which means he bought it at the top of the market. And, you know, I know he's just probably tired of it being a rental. So, and he lives not out of state, but way out of town. So that's, you know, in another city. So.
Yeah, I mean, we get so many short sales, it's not even funny. They're a pain, but hey, they're still profitable. They're a pain, but they're still profitable. I think we have like 30 right now in our pipeline.
I noticed you mentioned that, and in California, you know, a couple of years ago, they really drove the prices right back up. So we don't have that many short sales because the appreciation just got rid of, you know, that negative equity. So the short sales kind of dried up, you know, within like 2 years.
Wow.
But we have a lot of them, and now it's like nobody even talks about them anymore. Yeah,
the market's gone up here in South Florida, but it was so high back in the 2007, 2008 that we see properties that owe twice of what their value is on a daily basis. Like, it's normal down here.
Yeah. So you're not back up at those prices, right? 2007 and 8, because we are already.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's No, I wouldn't say no. I mean, there's some markets where the prices have increased significantly, especially the higher end markets in South Florida,
Hmm.
but we're still not there yet.
Hmm.
We still got a while to climb.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then that's another reason why it's so important to have a mentor in your market, because the things that happen are different. You
for
know,
sure.
what you can afford to pay for holding costs, closing costs, what kind of marketing you should do is dependent on the market. And I think I'm going to do later on in the fall probably a panel of people and call it "Is it me or the market?" Because people just don't know unless they have a mentor.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, what works in one market is not going to work in every market.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is your? I think we're on. Um,
Well, we got one more area to
let's
systemize.
recap. What's number two? I'm typing it into the chat for people. What's the second area?
So far we talked about we got one more area to cover to systemize. So the first area was marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Second area was your leads part, your leads
Leads,
processing,
leads process. Okay.
and your third part should be the closing coordination. It's very easy. You know, you can. We actually had a VA in India do it. Pay her $5 an hour. She coordinates our closings, and you'd be amazed how much time you save.
Oh yeah.
It's super time consuming every time you have a closing to send a contract to the title company. You know, ask for title and lien search, review it, go back and forth 20 times on corrections on the HUD, calling buyers, calling sellers, make sure this guy sends the wire, make sure seller comes to the closing company or gets a mobile notary or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, before you know it, 5-6 hours you spend on the closing, and you know, it's
It's time. Yeah.
why are you going to spend 5-6 hours of your time when you can pay someone $5 an hour to do it? You know,
Right. Right.
if not, get somebody local, and you could pay somebody local. You can get a rock star local. We just hired a new
Yeah.
girl now because
Okay.
our VA is just doing short sales because she couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do both. So we hired a new girl now, and she's an actual licensed title agent. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
she's amazing. She has a huge background, and we pay her $20 an hour. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's able to do our closings in 5 hours, so it's about $100 a closing. So you know, whatever, I'll take
Right.
it.
That's good. Yeah, a lot of people hire a transaction coordinator that's actually a separate company, and they just handle the transaction. And I mean, a lot of realtors will use the transaction coordinator too, but their fees are more like 350 for the close. It's a set price.
Right, right,
So
right.
you do it hourly, and you're saving with that.
Yeah, yeah, we save and we get to control the person, like I want the person on my CRM, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're on Podio and we get to see
Mm-hmm.
everything that they're doing and they work based off our system. So I don't want anyone that we hire needs to follow our system and our procedures. And we don't want anyone to work off their system or their procedures.
Good point. Good point. So
Yeah.
how did you choose that person?
The new one, the new closing
Yeah.
coordinator.
Yeah.
So we have a specific hiring system. I can probably I can chat with you after this and see if we
Mm-hmm.
can somehow give it to the attendees. I had to change it though because it's like copyrighted and I got it from a guru that uses
Okay.
it. So I don't know if I can share it, but maybe we can edit it and make it where it's not,
Make it our own. Yeah.
make it our own.
Yeah.
I would recommend that everybody here read a book called Top Grading. The book is written by a guy who he has a hiring system. He's like a PhD from Harvard or whatnot, and he has a specific hiring system that really goes in depth into all your hires. And Jack Welch from GE used this system when GE was like from its good to great years when it
Right.
exploded. And so the main point with this system is most people spend 15-20 minutes top investigating their employee. With
Mm-hmm.
this system, you're spending 3 to 4 hours investigating the employee, and you go in depth with all of them. I mean, you have to ask so many questions and go and see if they're a right fit for your company. So we use that, and we basically have an application that they have to fill out. It's like a 5-6 page application. So for the most part, most people aren't going to do it.
It just weeds people out. Yeah.
It's just a weeder. We used to use videos at first, but what we found with the videos that it's not going in depth as this application. So the application goes into college years, all their work experience, extracurricular activities, hobbies, books they're reading, things they like to do, goals for the future, financial, career, personal, all this stuff. And you really go in depth with the person, and you'd be surprised that when you get so, and it's really systemized, so you can train someone in your company to do it really fast because it's all a checklist that they just fill out.
Mhm.
But it goes into real depth with the people, and you find really great talent that way, and it's worked. You know, we've hired our last 3 hires that way, and we've gotten very, very good people.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So we put the ad on
Excellent.
Craigslist to make the ad short, and she applied. I think we must have got like in total maybe 100 applications. Only 3 of them actually filled out our application process.
Mhm.
That went through it, and you know, when I interviewed her, I just knew from the beginning she was great, but we had to go through the whole interview process. I
Mhm.
called all her references checked out great, and she's been awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of background noise there, but it looks like if you go through the process, you weeded out all the extra people. Because I've done it before too. You put an ad and you get like 100 people, and you're like, I have to weed these people out, or you know, they weed themselves out if you
Yeah,
give them too much to do.
yeah, for sure. You have to weed people out.
All right. Now we went through, well, I called them areas: marketing, leads processing, and closing coordinator. And then my next question for you is, what team members would you get when you first get started? And there might be some overlap here, but it sounds like the areas were more like employees, whereas the team members are people that are really an integral part of your company.
Right. You know, before we even go into the team members, I would say that like one of the most important things you can do is, you know, download a mind map, or you can go
Mhm.
to like xmind.com and and they have
Right.
a service. I think it's free.
It's free. Yeah.
Yeah, and use a map. And basically, what you want to do is you want to chart out how your business looks like. Like pretend that whatever your end goal is, if your goal is to have $1 million business, a $500,000 business, whatever it is, see how that business operates. Like, how does it look like? How many people are in place in that business? What are the departments in your business? What is everyone focusing on in those departments? And you want to have a mind map with all those people in place. If you want, Janice, I have a mind map that I can share. I don't
Okay,
know. You
great.
want me to share my screen really fast and show
Sure.
people?
Sure.
Let me open it up here 1 sec.
So I'm going to type in the chat because I've used that too. I have XMind. And it's online, and you can share it. There's a number of different mind map. Just do a Google search on it. Different programs, but I think XMind has the free one, and there's a couple others that have a free one.
Right. So let's go here and screen share. And let me just get this mind map out.
Does it look like a multi-million-dollar company mind map?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's what we have currently right now.
Yeah,
It's exactly what we have right now. So let me share this. Let me know if everyone's able to see it.
Okay, okay, yep, got it.
Okay.
Zoom in, yeah.
So let's go over this. All right, so so Omer and Gabe's flipping business. Omer is my business partner. So me and him are basically the president and vice president. We basically have the same roles. So here we have all our roles. You know, what our responsibilities here, and it's, you know, manage company, create marketing plan, and everything goes into. So the first person I said that you guys should hire would be in the marketing department, which would be your marketing assistant. And these are the people that, you know, implement your direct mail, or they're posting bandit signs. They're building your direct mail list, or they're doing the market research to gather your list. They're, you know, stuffing your envelopes, taking them to the post office, or making sure that your postcards are ordered. They're doing all that. We have a marketing director now, and she manages all our marketing assistants, because we have 4 marketing assistants, and we found that we were spending like 10 to 12 hours a month managing the campaign. So now we just have her do it, and we're completely hands off. On the acquisition department, we have our acquisitions manager. You know, he's the guy this is like the last piece of the puzzle you'll probably add. This is the guy who's going out and talking to your motivated sellers and getting your contracts and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But this was the other person I told you guys to hire, which is your leads processor. And they're, taking the calls and doing all that. And we have an acquisition assistant who helps the acquisition manager. Like, for instance, for short sales, short sales, we're selling them on the phone. And we don't want our acquisition manager wasting his time going over there to sign paperwork when, they don't really have any other options. We're their only option. So
Right.
it's a done deal. We'll send an assistant to go pick up the paperwork, and that's pretty much it. There's really no selling, Yeah. And, we have our rehab department. We have a project manager. We have a rental manager. We don't really, I have the rental manager here. We don't really have any rentals, but we have the map in place because we know what our business is going to look like.
Right.
In our accounting department, we have our bookkeeper, sales. We have our sales manager who sells all our, sells all our properties, our wholesales and retails. And then in the processing department, I haven't finished it here and done the roles, but we have our transaction coordinator or the closing coordinator, and we have the short sale negotiator.
Good.
So, I mean, I know it's a lot, and some of you guys, especially if you're starting off, might say, like, why do I need this? The reason is because if you don't have this, the person you hire is not going to be focused, and they're not going to know what they have to do, and you're not going to get the most bang out of your buck for each person that you hire if they don't have specific roles and specific responsibilities and accountabilities. If you guys haven't read the E-Myth, you have to read that book. That's not, if you're a business, if you want to be a business owner, that's like non-negotiable. You have to read that book. And so what Michael Gerber talks about in that book is that when you delegate, most people delegate, what does he say? You delegate by, I think he calls it abdication or something like that, where basically you're just like, hey, just do this, I
don't want to do it anymore, just do it.
Yeah, just do this. And the person doesn't even know really what they're doing. They don't even know what they're accountable for. You just tell them that, oh, you just have to make sure my closings go through. Like, they don't have specific step-by-step processes. They don't have an operations manual. They don't have they don't even have a standards of performance. They don't even know how you're judging them on what to perform. So, all these things help you really get clear and really know who you have to hire, what's the next person to hire, and all this. So if you don't have this, it's going to be hard for you to figure out who's in your business, and your business may not look like mine. So you have to have this so you can know who to hire first, and that's why we can go into now who to hire first, but I think this is even more important because you have to know how your business is going to look like and be structured before you make that first hire.
Yeah, definitely for the hiring part, you need to know what they're going to do. But initially, before you hire people, you probably, unless you can do a lot of things yourself, I think you get more bang for the buck by having at least a partner or three, 2 partners and you, so there's a team there.
For sure.
Dig up, you can, divvy up the work when you first get started.
Yeah, no, and me and my partner did that, and it's great because, like, when we go on vacations, when we can both go on vacation, the business will be okay. But before we had all these people in place, one of us can go for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was, and we know that somebody's holding down the fort, and things are still getting done. So
Right. So initially, when you first got your partner, how did you divide up what needed to be done? I mean, he was your other team member, essentially.
Yeah, so, I mean, right now, like, the way we do it is he handles marketing and acquisitions. He oversees that, and I oversee everything on the outside sales part. I see all the closings. I oversee the rehab projects, and I oversee the accounting part.
Okay.
So that's the way we do it now. When we first started, the way we did it a little bit different. What we were doing was everything north of Broward County, he was taking from beginning to end. And then everything south of Broward County, I was handling from beginning to end, whether it was the sale, whether it was acquisition, whether it was closing, and what we would do is our lead processor, would let us know on Podio, hey guys, this one's north. Okay, Omer, you take this one. You know, or this one's south. Hey, Gabe, this is your deal. And so we would work the business that way. Yeah.
Well, but it sounds like if you do that, there's a lot of duplication, though. You're both kind of doing the same stuff, you know.
Yeah, you're right. It probably wasn't the best way to go about it. And now what we do is we just oversee different departments, and it works better that way.
Yeah. Well, you both had an idea of everything in the business that needed to be done, but it sounds like now one of you handles it as it comes in to a certain point, and the other one handles it as it goes out the door.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's a good way to divide it up. I know some people do like marketing and acquisitions, and the other person handles the rehab, and the other person handles transactions and accounting, because that's more of all in one place at the desk.
Right, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's two of you. So.
Right.
Yeah. Some people have three. They divide it up that way. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe if we had we don't have that many rehab projects. I think we have like 4 or 5. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know.
And you have a manager. You have a guy managing that who's really an employee, not a team member. But sometimes people have that as a team member role because it really takes a lot of time. You know? It
does. It does take a lot of time. I'm so glad I'm not managing them right now. It's so nice not having contractors call you and trying to go pick up checks and everything.
Yeah.
Pick
up checks, or when you go there, they decide that, there were a couple of hours from last week that they forgot to add in because this guy did something else, and yeah. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
There's parts that have to go back, and then they get a gift card. And it's like, we got to go spend the gift card on this project. And, there's so much that goes on.
Right. Yeah. Or you told them to do this, and they'd say, no, you didn't say that. We didn't agree to that. I have to charge more for that,
Exactly. So someone else is doing that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we covered the 3 areas, and then also the 3, for you guys, it's 2 team members, but the areas that the team members cover, and sort of the best way to divide those up.
Right.
When I think of a team, I think of, the partners that are owners of the business versus the employees.
Right. And so as far as the team members go, the easiest person you can hire, is a virtual assistant. I mean,
right.
And the cheapest person you can hire. Most people are starting off, don't have a lot of money. You can hire a virtual assistant. I've seen people hire a virtual assistant for like $3 an hour. The cheapest I've paid is $5, and they're phenomenal. You really have some really good virtual assistants out there. You just have to find a good one, and you can have them do whatever you want. You can have them do your leads processing. You can have them do your closing coordination. Or if you're selling, one thing you can do also is, which was what I used to do, is I'd make a list of everything that was a $10 an hour task. A $12 an hour task. And I'd make a list of everything in my business that I can pay someone $10, $12 an hour to do it. And I said, okay, anything that's $10, $12 an hour, I'm not doing it. This is getting outsourced to somebody. And I would make those lists, and then I would make a plan of who's going to do what, how much I'm going to pay, and then just make a quick contract with someone that you hire. Tell them, look, this is what you have to do. This is what you're accountable for. This is how I expect your performance to be. And you specify everything step by step. It takes a little bit of time, but you're going to have a better business because of it.
And I do that too. It used to be Odesk, now it's Upwork. And I think they bought Elance too, so it's all combined together. But
yeah, it's all combined.
Instead of getting a virtual assistant where I'm paying kind of the highest price for all the different jobs, I have different people do different jobs. So like one guy's my web developer. He works on the the back end of the website. I do the design, but he does, loading plugins and stuff. And then I have someone who works on the mail campaign, but they're doing sort of the list sorting and the mail merging. I have someone who does web research who, can go to county websites and look up owners and things like that. And so those people all get paid different amounts. So in terms of either the research or just, the word processing stuff, that's
right,
a lower amount. So I have different people And I have someone who does online accounting by logging into QuickBooks.
The QuickBooks, right?
Yeah.
But they all have specific roles.
Right. It's just that you can, each one has a role and there's a certain price for that type of job. If you want somebody to be on the phone, they have to be really good at verbal English.
Correct.
I have a guy who downloads the transcripts for these Hangouts and, then listens to them and adjusts them. But then I have to have someone else who's really good at English
To
correct the sentences, because he just has them run on. He doesn't know. Because when we talk, we run on. I don't say, hey, Gabriel, what are you going to do today? Period. So since I don't do that, he doesn't know where the sentences stop. So.
All right.
But yeah, but someone's in India, they have good English and they can handle that. So there's different ways that you can hire people on Updesk. You just have to put a good job description and then have a very detailed list of what you want that person to do. And I've definitely seen the transaction coordinator jobs, on there for people, and all that stuff's online anyway. I mean, I handle a lot of transactions in other states and I'm sitting here in San Diego. It's all email scanning.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be there to actually close the property.
Yeah, you don't.
So. All right. So I'm going to have you then talk about some systems. And I know right now you're using Podio, but maybe for the newbies, you can tell us if you had any, other systems before you, came up with Podio. And I'll tell people that when you registered for the webinar, I'm going to give you a place where you can go to find some of the links of some of these resources that we're talking about. So, and I sent a checklist out to register that you should be filling in, but then I have another gift that'll be coming up probably in a few minutes, and we'll post it and show you where you can get that. It's just a nice system checklist. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, right now we use Podio. I would never. I don't. It's amazing how we run our business without it. But as far as if you don't, Podio is free for people who don't know. You can get up to 5 employees working on Podio for free, and then after every employee, it's $10 an employee.
Okay.
But as far as something else, and I've heard of what's this other system? It seems I know we looked into it. It's called Zoho.
Right.
We never use Zoho, but Zoho is one that you can look into, and I know it has a lot of cool things that you can do as far as creating tasks, managing all your leads, and managing the whole business. You can do it all online, and Zoho is good. We used to use a system called ReaFax, but it only works in Florida, and we don't use it anymore. But I would say, if you can have a similar system, like if you're sending offers on the MLS, or if you're doing like auction properties or whatever, this system is really good. I think FreedomSoft does something similar. So you can basically load up the property in this system, and you can automate your contract sending part. And so that saves a lot of time. So if you're a person that wants to send offers on the MLS because you don't have a big marketing budget and you just like it, you can send 100 offers a day with 5 minutes of your time. Now you still have to follow up, and that's where the money's at, because if you send your offers right, they're not going to get accepted when you send them. But you can have a system where when you send your offers, your contracts are already automatically done, and then you have something just to keep track of all the offers you made and when your follow-ups are due, so you can keep on top of all your files. So.
And you're using Podio for that, or you had another system for the MLS offers?
We were using a system called ReaFax, but it only works. It's only in Florida. But I know FreedomSoft. I know you can in FreedomSoft. You can do it. You can do that in FreedomSoft as well, because I know we tried looking into it, and we were looking into FreedomSoft before we got Podio. Podio is just a little more versatile, and you can do a lot more from a management standpoint than FreedomSoft. But if you're a one-man show, for the beginning, FreedomSoft is a great tool for that, and it's really simple and organized. So it's a good software to use.
I'm going to screen share just for a minute here. This is Podio. Gabriel's using, and they might have gone up since you got started, because they got the basic one for $9 a month per employee, and I don't see a free plan yet, but
Oh wow. Okay, then it
yeah,
must
it's
have
gone up.
changed because when we started, it was free for the first 5 employees.
Yeah, you got in on the beta. And
Yeah.
then here's the other one that we use. It's called Rike, and this is free for 5 users, so that would cover that issue. We use it with my team, rehabbing houses up in Sacramento. So, and you know, you can load up all your documents there. You can have tasks for people. You can check off when the tasks are completed. It's really a great way to organize, you know, a closing. It's just too hard to do without it. And then you have a list of who's on the loan, how much the loan is for, you know, who are all the contacts involved with it. So it's definitely important to have sort of an online system for your team, especially when you're out in the field, or you're someplace you can check, you know, these online systems from anywhere.
Yeah, you can check them from your phone, and they're wonderful.
Yeah. So it would have, you know, all these different features of your tasks, your file sharing, you know, uploading spreadsheets, and, you know, just a bunch of things like that. So you start out free, and then you just add on when you get a little bigger. So
Yeah, and you need to have something, you know, like I'll give you a good example. Really good friend of mine, he really wanted to make some more money, and you know, he knew what I was doing and asked me if, you know, if I can give him some tips. So you know, since he was a really good friend of mine, I gave him some tips on, you know, who he can mail to, and things he can do to start generating leads. And so, you know, he called me. I think he quit. He gave up on it. But it was, you know, when he was doing it, it was a few months ago, and he called me and told me that that he had gotten, you know, maybe 5 or 10 calls, but really most of them, you know, weren't too motivated, and some of the other ones he just wasn't able to get in contact with. And I'm like, well, did you call him back? And he's like, no. And I'm like, so they just called once and you didn't call him back? He's like, no. And I'm like, do you have their number saved? He's like, no. And I'm like, dude, how do you expect to make money? Like, you have to have all these leads saved, and you got to be following up like a monster with every single one until you know that it's not a deal. And so these tools help you do that. You know, you have to keep track of everything you're doing and be able to be organized and keep follow-up systems. You know, this is a business. It's not a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to go back to the screen share. You know, we are going to do questions at the end, but this is a question that we're right on the topic, and it came up in the chat, which was, what do these programs do? So I thought, well, I'll just scroll through and show you some of the tasks that they do in the free part. It's a place to keep your documents and all your tasks and assign them to your partner, and they can assign it back to you, and you can look at it and go, did I ever do that? Where is, you know, that final HUD? Where's the insurance paper? Did the insurance get paid? It's basically a filing cabinet online for you to know where everything is.
Right.
You know, it doesn't automatically, quote unquote, send a fax for you, but it lets you know if you did it and how the person answered and things like that. And you can integrate it, you know, as you go up, you can integrate it with other things once you get to the professional level.
It sounds just like Podio.
Yeah. Email in, some of them link, you know, they'll link to your projects, they'll link to your mail, your Outlook. And so you can even see the email that came in in response to what you sent them. And then of course, Enterprise, it would be all custom stuff. And most people aren't going to do that now. So,
and things you can do, like, you know, I'll give you an example. If you want to get into like really cool stuff, like with Podio, we have like, so if a buyer lead comes in, you know, from online, it automatically goes into Podio, and we just press a button, and from there it goes automatically right into our constant contact list. So we don't even have to open constant contact or put it in.
Right.
You can integrate all these third-party applications with your tools. These are more advanced techniques, but there's so many things you can do with them that, you know, it's just crazy to run a business without these tools.
Right. So what you're saying, like the next time you say, oh, I've got to send that guy an email, you're not going someplace and opening a document to find his email. It's already in your Outlook because you had a little script that took care of it.
Well, you can do that in Podio as well. I'm not doing that in Podio.
Okay.
We're doing that, but for instance, like if I get an invoice in Podio, I can press a button, and that invoice, and as soon as I pay that invoice, I just press a button, and I have it programmed where it automatically loads up into QuickBooks, and
Awesome.
it just tracks the expense automatically in QuickBooks. And same thing with the buyer lead. So if I get a buyer lead, I press a button, and it automatically goes into my constant contact email list. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool things you can do. I know guys that have it programmed with Zillow, and they can pull comps in a split second by just pressing a button on it. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that you can do, and you can custom fit it to your business. I know another system out there called Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
I got a couple friends that use that, and they do something pretty cool. Every time they get a lead, they have like 5 autoresponder emails that automatically go out from Infusionsoft to the sellers by email and by text, and they get deals sometimes just from the text following up. You know, that just seller calls back and say, hey, I got your text. Yeah, I'm ready to sell my house. You know, I'll accept your offer. And, and they use all this technology, and it helps them get more deals.
Well, that's really good. So they just automatically, it's right. You end up the SMS texting, right? And it's
right.
linked in, yeah.
And it's just set up on a schedule, so the system knows that, okay, I send a text out every 3 or 5 days, and this is what the message comes out for every text, and it's just. And the only thing that changes is the name and maybe the property address or something on the text, and the system knows how to change it.
Right, exactly. There's some, and there's a couple systems now that are set up. Gosh, I can't remember the name. There's a new tool. So if you have an app or a system, it'll connect to all the other systems that you have. It just links them together. So some of these.
Say that one more time.
Well, you buy a system like Podio, for example, and it uses another system, begins with an S, that links it to the email you're already using, the phone system you're already using. It links all the tools together.
Right, it's like the API. The API, is that what you mean?
Yeah, no, it's a separate service that they're using for it.
Oh, okay.
I'll think of it later. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
But I thought maybe Podio was using that. But Podio, it's all internal inside the app. Right?
Yeah, and you can link third-party softwares to function with it.
Right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff you're already using. Okay, cool. So, would you like to go into some questions? Because we have some from the audience.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I'm going to scroll back down to the beginning and actually, let's see. All right, I can. Okay, see, some people didn't. If they put it as a question, I will try to add it for you. Let's see. All right, first question. Jay asks, and you can probably answer this offline later. Hey, Gabriel, we want to be your deal finder. Let's form a joint venture agreement. We're expert marketing real estate consultants, and we do a split on wholesales, wholetails, and rehabs. So it looks like that's something you could, we can follow up on that later with you, Jay.
Yeah, so for sure.
See.
We'll be definitely interested.
This one, what I'm going to do is, let's see. I haven't done this before.
I see the questions too. You want me to?
You do? Okay, good. Because it's not showing up for me. I think it just shows up to the audience. So you can read the question.
All right. So I see one from Miami. Can you give me your mentor's name and info? Yes. My mentor's name is Dave Dinkle. That's D-A-V-E, and then Dinkle. I'll write it here actually. Dave Dinkle, and I'll give you his website. He runs the Dade Real Estate Investor Association. So if you're in the Miami area, and just go to your local RIA in Dade. That's called Dade Real Estate Investor Association. He runs the meeting. He's an awesome guy. He's a great friend of mine, and he can definitely get you started doing deals if that's your goal.
Okay, here's another question from Yami.
What kind of marketing are you doing? I'm a 40-hour-a-week employee. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, when I first started doing this business, I was also working 40 hours a week. So I can tell you what I did to get my first deals. I was basically sending offers at 6 o'clock, between 5 to 6 in the morning, Monday through Friday. I would wake up 2 hours early before work and just hit the internet, send offers. I was probably sending somewhere between 10 to 20 a day, and following up on them during my lunch break at work and when I got home. I did that. It took a while to get my first deal, but within a year, I was able to quit my job and finally do it. So I was doing just sending offers on the MLS, and I was door knocking for people who were distressed and were about to lose their house, whether to foreclosure or to some type of tax eviction or something. So that's what I was doing when I first started. If you have a budget and you want to do direct mail, I would recommend that. But I guess the most important thing is find one thing that you want to do and just stick to it and do it till it works. And do it, give it at least 6 months and go hard on it until it works, because it's too easy to just do something for a month and stop, and you're not going to see results like that.
And I posted another question from Yemi. You've probably gone over it, but she wants to know how you find the properties. And I think if she is from that area, and you should check with your local RIA, what kind of marketing is working the best for you. And I think for you, it's direct marketing, direct mail, and that's what we use as well.
Yeah. For us, it's direct mail. That's the best for us. It took us a while to get there. And it depends on what your strengths are and your personality is. But yeah, I mean, what I love about direct mail is that it works without me, and that's the best thing about it. So I don't need to be there for it to work. While sending the offers, it requires your effort to do it.
Okay, let's see. Another question we have from Brian Bremer. Can we touch bases on buyers' lists? Also, MLS offers versus direct seller leads.
Yeah, Brian's a good buddy of mine. Brian, as far as what you want to touch base on the buyers list, I'm not sure. Can you clarify there? As far as MLS offers versus direct seller leads, I'm not sure exactly what it is that you want me to touch base on there is either. I would say that the pros about MLS offers is that all you really need is a system to pay, which costs money too. A good system is going to cost you anywhere from $50 to $100 a month, maybe even a little bit more, to send your offers on the MLS. The good thing about it is that you can get a deal quickly on it, and it's not as expensive as direct mail, but it requires your effort. Unless you train somebody to do it, I personally can't speak from experience because I haven't done that yet. I know it's possible because I have guys who do it. I have friends that have done it. It's very time consuming to try and train someone and teach them how to do that. So we haven't done that. As far as direct seller leads, like I said, the marketing works without us. We don't have to be present for the leads to come in. And in our market, I can tell you that going direct sellers, you get better deals. The margins are larger, and it's just easier to negotiate. You're not dealing with a professional. You're dealing with someone, you're dealing with people on the low economic scale that really don't know about real estate, especially if someone inherits a house for free. They don't really care what they get for it. They just want you to solve their problem. You just get better deals on the direct seller lead, in my opinion, versus the MLS. When you're dealing with realtors, you got to put up larger escrow deposits, and you have to be a little bit savvier when you're dealing on the MLS, and there's a little more risk involved, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the MLS, I would say that the price is going to be higher just because the realtor is getting paid. So people are getting paid, on that. Whereas when you're dealing with a direct seller, they're not having to pay a realtor, And so you can negotiate that part right out of it. And they usually need help. I mean, there are some junky deals on the MLS, but usually the real junky deals, the realtor's not going to touch. So if it's on the MLS, you know, it's in a lot better shape, unless it's being sold by the bank, right? So.
Yeah, and there's everyone's on the MLS. You know, like for us, you know, you're not going to get a deal on the MLS because you're sending the offer. You know, you're getting the deal because you're following up like a beast, and someone happens to drop the ball along the way, and you've been the guy following up persistently that they're just so tired of the deal not closing, and you're the first guy in their mind. They're just saying, just close this damn deal, and they'll give you the deal. But it's a very time-consuming, tedious process to get a deal. It works, and I got guys who do it, and they love it. I don't love it. I don't like doing it, but they do, and they do it well. So it works, but it's just, you know, it's time-consuming, and it requires a lot of effort on your part.
Yeah, and sometimes the realtor at the end will call you when the deal falls through because they want to go on vacation. The money's not going to come in unless someone closes. And sometimes even the person controlling the deal at the bank wants that deal to close so that they can make their quota, you know, for that month. And so towards the end of the month, if you have cash and you can close and the deal fell through, you're the one they're going to pick. Right. So, you know, there's a lot of more of like a lottery thing going on there in terms of, you know, getting it done. But so it's a numbers game like anything else. So you're putting in a lot of offers, whereas with direct mail, you're putting out a lot of mailings. And so I'm going to click on it so everyone sees the question. But Yami had another question about, you know, the direct mail because, you know, of being a new person, it really is, you know, sending out letters directly to that, you know, that homeowner. Right. So, you know, I'll let you touch on it, but basically to answer her question is it's directly to the homeowner versus a sign. So if you drive down the street and you see a sign, it's not directly sent to you, it's to the whole neighborhood. Correct. So.
Yeah, and I mean, Janet's pretty much said it, right? So you're just sending your marketing piece directly to your ideal prospect, and you're talking to them directly versus just a generic ad that you put out, you know, and hoping that your ideal prospect sees it and calls you.
And so, you know, for her being, and there's people on the call that are new, so it's not just, you know, it's kind of a mystery. Well, how do you send the direct mail? You've got to get a list. You can either buy a list. You can make a relationship with a title company rep and get a list. It's called farming, right? Because you're actually farming your neighborhood. And realtors do this all the time. So if you make a relationship with a title company, you've got to use that word farm, a farm list, because that's what they understand. Right. That's how realtors, you get postcards in the mail from realtors. Do you want to sell your house? They're farming for a deal. And so as an investor, you're doing the same thing. So the title company lists, it is free. They'll give you a limit. Like I can get 1,000 records, 1,000 names a month from my title company. And if you're doing absentee owners, that's fine because you're going to mail to them several times a year anyway. You know, the next month, download another 1,000. And I'll give you my resource page now, but I also use ListSource. And I also use Property Radar. So you can go to wisewealthuniversity.com. It's right there. And /resources. And in fact, that's where I'm going to give you, you know, another free gift for watching the webinar. So go to resources, and there's a bunch of links there for where you can get direct mail, what kind of phone system you could use. And I think Tammy or Yemi added in another phone system, so I'll probably put that on the resource list. And if you scroll down to the last thing on the list, and I'll put that up here. You can link to it here as well. I'm giving you as a gift for watching the webinar a property purchase system, and this is a checklist that I use in my business because with team members spread out, we didn't, you know, the person who got the acquisition knew the realtor and their phone number and their contact, but I didn't know them. And then who's the contact for insurance and who's the escrow officer and who has the pictures, and all these different things, and it's all on a one-page PDF checklist. So all you're going to do is click on this, you can see it over to the right, and it'll take you to that resource page. And then you click on the resource page and you get the PDF. I mean, you don't have to opt in and put your email. You already gave me your email to watch the webinar. So that's my free gift. And it just goes along with what Gabriel and I are talking about, is you have to have a system in place or else you have chaos. I mean,
Right.
you might do the first deal with a pile of paper on your desk. And I'm
Right.
looking at a pile here. So, but after that, it gets crazy. You can't keep track of the leads. You can't keep track of, you might change the insurance agent or the escrow person because the realtor already had escrow open. What if it falls out of escrow? Now you're dealing with a different escrow officer, not the one you want to deal with. They don't have your contact information and you have to start all over. So this is a checklist that,
Yeah.
you put everything about that one deal on that one checklist, and we have it posted on Wrike. You would probably have it posted on Podio.
It's posted on Podio, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, someone put in 150,000, and then we have another rehab loan for another 30,000, and I need to know who put those loans in, where they are, because when you close the deal,
who's the contact person that's creating those loans?
Exactly, but when you close, now you just have that information. You can send it to escrow so they can pay off the notes.
Right.
It's already done. You're not digging through your old email like, oh, I wonder where that person's phone number is.
Yeah, and even God forbid, business is full of people, and people aren't always going to come through. So one day your person's out, if your system is good, it should be that it's so easy where you can just bring somebody new and they can pick it up. They can pick up the ball in a few minutes and just get it and know what to do, because you said you have a system in place with step by step that anyone can just see it and get it. Okay, I know how to do this, and they do it.
Absolutely. All right, so we ran through the questions that were there. If anyone has another question, post it, and I'm going to leave that pop-up there so you can go to wisewealthuniversity.com/resources. And I'm saying it out loud because when we have the YouTube recording later, they won't see all these pretty things on the right for us. They won't see the polls and the pop-ups and the chat and everything. So let's see. Let me check and see if there's any more questions that have come up.
I see one more from Miami about the real estate license.
Oh, yeah, I missed that one. Great. Okay, can you get that one?
I personally don't have a real estate license. My partner does. I can tell you, so this is a very controversial question, and everyone has a bunch of opinions on it.
Yes.
Look, there's not a right or wrong answer. I can tell you that there are a lot of benefits to having the RE license. For us, since we have the RE license, we list our wholesale deals on the MLS. It's a great plus. It's a great way to build a buyer's list. You'll build a buyer's list of good buyers, and you'll build it fast. We also use it to list our own short sales, so that's an extra 6% commission that we get on our short sale side that we wouldn't get if we weren't realtors. So there's benefits to having it. You don't need it to be successful in the business. It's definitely not something that you need. There's plenty of people who have 7-figure businesses and they're not realtors. So, it's just a personal preference. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I definitely don't. I just think it just depends on if you really want it or not, and whether it makes sense for you or not.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And every time I've rehabbed a property, there's someone on the team that has a license, and it just makes it, they've got MLS access. They can do the flat fee listing.
Yeah, you can do a flat fee listing, and you can do it too. But I agree, it's nice to have the license, and sometimes it makes our lives easier in some aspects. So it's nice having it in our business.
Okay, so let's see. I got another question here from Brian, and I'll put that up there. How do you market for your cash buyers?
So what I told Yami was MLS. So we put a clause in our contracts that we're allowed. I can share if you want, Janice. I can share the clause with you after,
Okay.
where we put on the contracts as long as the seller doesn't have an attorney. If we know that they're having an attorney, we pretty much don't use it because attorneys don't like it. But what we put is that buyer may or may not market the property for sale or lease on the MLS. And with that, the broker is fine with us using it. So that's how we market for cash buyers. We do a lot of SEO on the internet. We get a lot of buyers from there, and we set up tables at our RIAs. I think a table costs us $100 a RIA. We build buyers from there. One of the easiest things you can do on your to build a buyers list as well is just set up relationships with wholesalers. I mean, when we first started, there was always a wholesaler bringing a buyer for one of our wholesale deals, and we were paying them, $2,000 or $3,000 to bring us a buyer, and
Right.
and they sold most of our houses. And we still do business with a bunch of wholesalers, and wholesalers have access. You have access to 10 or 20 of the biggest wholesalers in your market, and you have thousands of buyers through them. So when
Because
you're
they have,
starting off, I think that's the easiest way to sell your properties is through other wholesalers.
yeah, I would agree with that. Wholesalers are on Craigslist. If you want to find
Yeah.
them, they are posting there every hour.
Or
You know,
bandit
so
signs. So when you
yeah,
see bandit
bandit
signs,
signs.
90%
Call the
of them
bandit
are
signs.
wholesalers. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can call the bandit signs if you're looking for a deal, if you want to rehab it, and or because they've built their own cash buyers list, so they can market it for you. And when I would teach some students how to do this, the first deal they would get is they would find a wholesaler who found them the cash buyer, and then they split the deal.
Yeah.
So you still make money, but you don't have to build the list yourself.
Yeah.
There is one
And
other.
bandit signs work for buyers too. Like I've actually sold properties to buyers on bandit signs that I'd never met before, and I built a lot of buyers from bandit signs as well.
That's true. Yeah, but putting out your own bandit signs. But initially, you can call the ones that are out there.
For sure.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. I was thinking of another source. Oh, there's one other way to build a buyers list. It's also mailing. It's more labor intensive, but if you look up in your title company, once you get a relationship with them, or from the MLS, you look for cash sales in the zip code that you're working in, and you download the list of the people who bought cash deals in the last 6 months. In other words, all you have to do is say no mortgage. So if you sort the MLS for no mortgage, you come up with the people who bought for cash, and you mail to them and you say, do you want to buy more? Because
Right.
they're probably landlords that are accumulating, or if it's an LLC, it's probably a rehabber who
Right.
wants to buy for cash. So
Yeah, we've never done that, but I'm sure that works for sure as well.
okay, we do have one. Let's see, more question, and I'm going to put this one up, but I'm going to answer Yami's at the same time. You can read this one. Read this one in a second, but yeah, what is a RIA? And so, can you answer that?
Yeah, so RIA, I'll spell it for you, Yami. So it's spelled like that. So a RIA is your Real Estate Investor Association. That's what it stands for. So it's just a local organization that pretty much, provides content to real estate investors, and they connect, all people in the community with each other, whether it's contractors, lenders, buyers, realtors, title companies, everyone that's in the business usually goes to their local RIA to build relationships and network with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you just search that acronym RIA, you'll come up with a list of RIA clubs in your area. You can specify your area. So I think one more question from Garth here.
What are good sources for funding? Garth, I think Janice is probably the best person to answer that for you. She's, she seems to be really good at raising money. We don't have private money. That's one thing we got to work on because we pay way too much for money. But I mean, going to your RIA, you can meet every hard money lender. I mean, all the hard money lenders always go to the RIAs because they're always looking for, especially newbies. that need funding for their rehabs or their rentals or whatever, and they're willing to lend you for your deals at you know, as long as you put 20% down or 30% down, and you're paying, 15% interest and maybe 3 points or something like that. That's typically a standard rates for a hard money lender.
And I'm just answering a question that Yami had in the chat. But the other thing is about the money. You mentioned something that happened with your fiance at the time. Now, with a hard money lender, you still have to come up with some cash to do the deal. So right. you had some cash that you could put into the deal before the hard money lender was going to lend to you, right? Right.
I mean, one thing you can do too, it's not ideal. I'd rather wholesale, but I mean, if you want to learn to rehab and you want money, get a hard money lender and just bring a cash partner, that who has the cash, and have them put up the rest of the money, and you split the deal 50-50.
Right.
In hindsight, I probably should have done that on all my first rehabs, because I made so many mistakes, and if I would have brought an experienced investor, I would have learned how to do things the right way, without making so many mistakes and losing a whole bunch of money on my end from mistakes that I made. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the hard money lender will do the deal if they know there's enough spread that they're going to make money. But if you make mistakes, you're the one who doesn't make money. They get their money back.
Right.
But a cash investor who is experienced and doesn't want to bother with rehabs anymore, they'd rather just kind of mentor you through it by providing the cash and making sure that you both make money. So that's a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
Hard money is, yes, Brian's putting something in the chat about how expensive it is. 12%, 4 points, sometimes 5 points. I will add in, because I did that, the link to that gift for you. I'm going to add in another thing that you guys can get from me for free. And I always post it in the chat here. All right, on the side, I put my private lenders ebook, How to Find Your Own Private Lenders. And I wrote the book because I was doing it myself, and I wanted to give everyone the information, because hard money has that name for a reason. It's really hard to get it, and it's really hard to pay it back.
Yeah.
It's expensive. And so private money are people that who have money to lend. And in the book, I teach you how to find those people, and also how to find people that they know that have those people. So there's an ebook, and then there's, I think, 3 emails that follow up that kind of keep you on track. Like, okay, what did you do this week? And this, it goes on for 10 days, I think.
I'm going to download that book too.
But well, thank you. So, but everyone has maybe 250 contacts in their phone. Okay. So this is where you start. Start here. Okay. So you start with those people, and they have 250 people in their phone. So you talk to them, but then you ask them if they know someone else who might be interested. So the book gives you, a script on, what to say. And I do teach you to start out and practice with people who are not going to lend you the money, who don't even have the money. And I'll call them broke people. So it starts out and tells you to do that because it takes away the fear, because they can't do it, but it gives you a chance to be comfortable with the process.
That's a great idea.
I suggest you get the book. It's just a PDF. Download it. You'll get a couple emails after that, and it takes you through the process. Because when you do private money, you can fund the entire deal with private money, and you don't even have to have your own. Right. So a lot of people start out wholesaling because they don't have any money. You can fund the whole deal with private money. And the other thing it teaches you is how to change your mindset about asking for money. You're not asking for money. You're providing a service to people to make 10%, 8% in your market, whatever you want. It's your deal. But you're providing a higher interest rate than anyone else can give them. It's backed by real estate. It's solid. They know who's running the rehab. It's not like some CEO is off doing what they want and, doing a Bernie Madoff or whatever. So they can see the property.
Right.
They know it. They see everything. And my private lenders will come and walk through the rehabs. just to see what's going on, where their money is. And they do that the first time. And then after that, they go, oh, I never saw that deal because I saw the first one. You know, they didn't have to
They just want to get paid.
Yeah. And then their friends hear about it, or their mother hears about it and says, can I put in a little? And so it just snowballs. It's a fun process if you allow yourself to be comfortable with it. So anyway, if you're not watching, you know, the first webinar and you're on YouTube, so again, go to Wise Wealth University over here, .com/PV lending. PV is for private. So PV lending, and you can just download the ebook from there. So
I'm going to download that ebook too.
So yeah, so I expect you're going to be socking away, you know, 100 grand by next month in private lending and putting them into your next deal.
I hope so.
I hope so. It's a system like we're talking about tonight. It's a system. Just follow the system. So
awesome.
Anyway, I'll check the chat, and I don't see any more questions. I see Brian wanting to offer his lending. I'll post that up for everyone. He knows about Iron Bridge lending and their great hard money, 12% and 4 points. But yes, when you go to hard money, and this is just another way of looking at it, they become your partners because they're going to make more money on the deal than you made.
Yeah.
Just what happens. So.
Yeah, especially in your market.
Where
your prices are so high.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much. So I want to thank everyone for answering questions, staying through the end of the webinar. So you got your free gift. So wisewealthuniversity.com/resources. And at the bottom is that checklist you need when you do a property. And there's other resources there, the phone, Grasshopper, and all these different links. So I want to thank Brian for asking questions, Yami for asking questions, and I especially want to thank Gabriel for spending his time. You know, it's late there in Florida. You know, we started at 9 o'clock, so I want to thank him for staying up late and helping us so much with all the systems and tools that he uses in his business. And I want to thank him, and I want to invite everyone to come every Thursday and listen to the show. So do you have any final words, Gabriel?
No, that's it. I thank you also for inviting me. It was fun, and yeah, thanks a lot for everything.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. I'll play my last movie and stop the broadcast. Let's see. The final outro here. All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next Thursday night. And thank you, Gabriel. Good night, everyone.